country illegally, of course. Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas voted with the state of Texas. Not one provided any explanation for their vote. This is an outrage, and this just simply cannot stand. The week begins with one fewer candidate in the race for the Republican nomination. Governor Ron DeSantis, of course, has withdrawn the day before the New Hampshire primary. Governor Ron DeSantis withdraws, and the choices for the Republican presidential nomination narrow to just two. President Donald Trump and the third-place finisher in those Iowa caucuses, Nikki Haley. Haley, who is running well behind President Trump, will be taking up all of this, the campaign, the Biden regime's election interference against President Trump, talking with Christina Bobb, a Trump attorney, with us tonight to deal with all of these issues and eventualities and more. And Disease X, the Davos elites and the UN World Health Organization say all the World Economic Forums are frankly going to have to deal with a new reality. These captive governments must sign a treaty to be prepared to fight a Disease X breakout. Disease X, as it's called, it's not a real disease, it's a pretend disease. It is 20 times deadlier in the presumptions of the WHO than the Wuhan virus a few years ago. It's more fear-mongering, brought to you by the United Nations, the One World crowd, and the Biden administration, who like to pretend Joe Biden is a real president, that Joe Biden didn't really turn over the southern border to the Mexican drug cartels. And we have with us tonight Dr. Robert Malone, inventor of mRNA, to talk about the real fight against misinformation, disinformation, and pure propaganda emanating from our own public health agencies and the WHO. Deadlier, perhaps, than the disease that they pretend exists. Dr. Malone with all of that here tonight. And in the Middle East, two of our Navy SEALs, while on a mission off the coast of Somalia, were killed while boarding a ship. Their mission to capture and destroy Iran missiles and warheads being shipped to the Yemen Houthi rebels and to Syria and to Iraq now. Dozens of our troops there have been wounded in attacks by the Iranian-backed terrorists. Why do we have so many troops deployed to that region? Why are we not better protecting our troops? We talk about all of this with retired Rear Admiral Peter Brown. And why does it appear in released videos that the Secret Service and Metro Police in Washington, D.C. have a lot of explaining to do about two pipe bombs on January 6 found near the RNC and the DNC? And why did the January 6 committee destroy evidence? And a lot of evidence. And how is it that a crooked bunch like the January 6 committee haven't yet been held accountable? Monica Crowley joins us here tonight. The New Hampshire primaries are now just a day away. That means we'll be one state closer to what appears to be the inevitable. President Donald J. Trump prevailing as the Republican nominee for president in 2024. Now that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has dropped out of the race, Republican voters are left with two choices. President Trump, who is really the presumptive nominee of the Republican Party, and his former UN ambassador, Nikki Haley. How's that for, loyalty and gratitude? I'll just run against you, Mr. President, said she. Haley finally gets the two-person race that she wanted, and she looks to be in a somewhat, precarious place. Haley is down by more than 17 points in New Hampshire. That's according to the Real Clear Politics average of polls. She's down by more than 30 in her home state of South Carolina. Haley is becoming so desperate that she's effectively blown her cover. Here she was slamming Trump on the campaign trail and actually comparing him to Joe Biden.
He said multiple times that he ran against President Obama. He didn't run against President Obama. These things happen because guess what? When you're 80, that's what happens. You're just not as sharp as you used to be. This is not personal. Y'all know I voted for him twice. I was proud to serve in his administration. This is the fact that we have a country in disarray and a world on fire, and we need to know that we are not giving our kids options of two 80-year-olds going into a presidency. We need to know that the person that's going to be in this office has the stamina to be at the top of their game when it comes to national security, the top of their game when it comes to the future of our economy and what we're going to do for our kids.
If I didn't know better, I'd think she thought that she had somehow had a role in national security, when effectively she was only a PR representative for the Trump administration at the United Nations. National security? Where did she get the idea she knew anything about national security? Well, she sounds like the Democrat that she really is, doesn't she? President Trump, meanwhile, continues to deal with the legal onslaughts against him. A Georgia judge just delayed a planned deposition by Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Willis was set to be deposed as part of divorce proceedings from her alleged lover, Nathan Wade, who is the very special counsel in Fani Willis's district attorney office. It gets complicated. And his wife, Willis is, of course, prosecuting Trump in Georgia for so-called election interference. It's very much election interference. Proceedings were also rescheduled in New York City today after a juror was, fell sick. President Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, requesting an adjournment and said President Trump could testify after the New Hampshire primary just as well. And so it is. It is clear President Trump is fighting a war on a number of fronts. He is winning easily. He is traveling between courtrooms and rallies. He is winning easily in the Republican primary. Despite all of that, he is fighting the Democrats, engaging in lawfare in the courts, the Biden regime and their indictments of him. And the sooner he can lock down the nomination, the sooner he can take the fight back to the Marxist Dems, who are now persecuting him politically in a 9th year, if you can imagine that. Joining me now, one of President Trump's attorneys, Christina Bobb, who is the author of the book, a new book entitled Stealing Our Vote, the inside story of the 2020 election and what it means for 2024. And Christina, great to have you with us here on Lou Dobbs Tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Christina, I want to start with first the president moving between rallies and courtrooms, idiot judges and mad prosecutors. He seems to me to be keeping that schedule quite handily. I find it remarkable. How are the courts, by the way? I mean, where are they now? They just seem like they're, at least Judge Chutkan in D.C. in that case seems to be flying a flag, if not surrender, of at least a truce, because she's trying to regain, it seems like, some dignity in this moment. Tell us what you think.
Well, right. So the case in Washington, D.C. under Chutkan is stayed until the Supreme Court rules on the presidential immunity issue. So you are correct that there is a bit of a stalemate going on at the moment, although Judge Chutkan did reprimand Jack Smith and his team for basically violating the stay, trying to continue to move the case forward despite the fact that the judge had ordered a stay. So that was a nice little victory for President Trump's team, that the judge actually kind of slapped his hand and said, you need to abide by the orders of this court, and I've ordered a stay. So that case is kind of on ice until we see what the Supreme Court rules on the presidential immunity issue. And as to President Trump moving among these cases and doing the rallies and going to the caucuses and then the primary tomorrow, he's doing great. I mean, I kind of chuckled when I saw the clip of Nikki Haley saying, I don't know if he's got stamina. Nikki Haley could not keep up with what Donald Trump is doing right now. His schedule is insane, and he's doing it very, very well with a smile on his face, happy to interact with the American people. So I'm looking forward to a big victory for him tomorrow night.
Well, I certainly will. I will actually reveal my preference in all of this. I would prefer that Donald Trump win and win handily, by a large margin. Point of fact.
Yeah.
I want to turn to the rest of the trials and the cases and the prosecutions, and I cannot resist taking up the Fani Willis affair, if I may call it that, the scandal that is going on in that courtroom.
Yep.
All of this is a scandal, whether it's the New York courtrooms, whether it is Washington, whether it's Georgia. This is outrageous, and every American who is fair-minded and has clear eyes knows that this is a politically motivated, orchestrated attack, personal attack on the former president of the United States. And what we're seeing in Georgia is just revealing it to everyone. Your thoughts about what's happening there and what will be the consequence?
Yes. I mean, the wheels are falling off the Georgia case. I expected the Georgia case to kind of fall apart. I didn't think it would be this embarrassing and disastrous for Fulton County, but it is. The idea that you have a prosecutor, the district attorney, who has hired her boyfriend or her lover, her married lover, paid well over $500,000, and then allows him to pay for her vacations and pay for, luxuries for herself. She's basically, it appears anyway, at least the receipts and what's been filed in the court proceedings, it looks like she's getting kickbacks from the Fulton County funds that are used to hire this prosecutor. And then the fact that the prosecutor is going to Washington, D.C. and meeting with the Biden administration, we've all suspected that these attacks against Donald Trump are coordinated, that New York and Georgia and Washington, D.C. and Florida are all coordinated. You can see it. It looks that way. But now we've got receipts and now we've got actual evidence that they are coordinated and they are meeting with the Biden administration. So I think this is a huge embarrassment to Fulton County. And I can't help but ask, where the heck is Christopher Carr, the Attorney General of Georgia? He's a Republican. You would think that he would be all over this, saying, the state of Georgia, we make sure that all of our district attorneys abide by not just ethical rules, but follow the law. There's potential criminal implications here, depending on what comes out in the investigation against Fani Willis. I would like to see the Attorney General step up and say, we're going to take a look at this. Yeah. We're going to make sure that justice is done in Georgia. But as far as I can see, he's been quiet. Where is he?
Courage doesn't seem to be courageous in the state government of Georgia. I couldn't imagine he and Governor Kemp, perhaps they're both in Davos, who knows? And right. At this point, who cares? Because they're both useless in terms of standing up for the law and for the American people, and certainly for President Trump. Christina, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. Christina Baum, thank you. Joe Biden's foreign policy is putting American lives at risk. He's doing nothing as Iranian-backed forces ramp up attacks on our armed forces. We have more on that coming up here next.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The MyPillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, MyPillow 2.0. When I invented MyPillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. MyPillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. MyPillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of MyPillow.
Now's the time to go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your MyPillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
mypillow.com
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Joe Biden's foreign policy, if you can call it a foreign policy, is putting some of our troops not only in harm's way, but in some cases getting them killed and seriously wounded. Since the start of the Israeli-Hamas war, our troops have been attacked at least 58 times in Iraq and 83 times in Syria by Iran-backed forces, with no consequence, no accountability for Iran. Now Saturday, another missile barrage in Iraq left more of our troops with brain damage, traumatic brain damage. There were no reports of deaths of any of our troops, but it is a different story in the Red Sea. A team of Navy SEALs on a mission to interdict a vessel carrying Iranian-made weapons components, including missiles, bound for Yemen and the Houthis. Those Iranian-backed Houthis have been attacking ships in the Red Sea since the start of the Israel-Hamas war. But as the SEALs boarded the boat in rough waters, one of them fell into the waves. A second SEAL jumped in after his teammate. That's what the SEALs are trained to do, and they are loyal to one another as they are to this country. But after a fruitless 10-day search, the Navy has declared both men deceased. What did they die for? Biden cannot articulate what they died for because he doesn't, in my opinion, have sufficient regard for the troops under his command, nor the nation that he should be serving as they did. Peter Brown is a retired U.S. Coast Guard Rear Admiral. He served as Homeland Security Advisor under President Trump and joins us this evening. And Peter, it's great to have you with us. I want to start with, if I may, the SEAL mission off the coast of Somalia. I think most Americans are shocked to find out how many of our troops have been wounded in those brazen attacks in Iraq and Syria. Now to find out we've got SEALs operating off the coast of Somalia. What is your take on what is going on in that region right now, and what is the purpose?
Well, you're absolutely right, Lou. And first, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you and to your audience here on Lindell TV. And as you mentioned, I served in the U.S. Coast Guard. One of our missions, Visit Forward, Search and Seize, is shared with the U.S. Navy, and it's often executed by U.S. Navy SEALs in both the Persian Gulf and the Red Sea, Indian Ocean, the Somalia area. So Christopher Chambers and Nathan Ingram, the two Navy SEALs who lost their lives in this most recent mission, are among dozens of U.S. service members who've been injured in over 150 attacks against U.S. positions in the Mideast. And as you mentioned, this interdiction mission, trying to interdict weapons that are coming from Iran to Yemen to arm the Houthis with the type of technology that they're using to attack U.S. and other shipping in the Red Sea, the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. It's just one of the many missions that the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Coast Guard together combine to perform in that region to try to maintain a level of security and stability for the burgeoning democracies of Gulf states, and at the same time to help those smaller Gulf states build their own capability and capacity to begin to do some of that heavy lifting on their own. And obviously, our thoughts and prayers are with the family of those sailors Christopher Chambers and Nathan Ingram, who made the ultimate sacrifice in the performance of a mission that's protecting U.S. national security as well as our partners.
You know, I have to tell you, as I'm sitting here and I'm listening to you talk about our national security, and I have to say, Peter, I don't see where our national security is involved there at all. I will give you my bias. I'm a man who believes in a modest foreign policy. This nation wasn't born being an adventurous policeman of the world. We were born to be Americans and to maintain our humility and our modesty when it comes to the power that we had, even though we, without question, made a tremendous difference in World War II, without question. But that was provoked, and this is not. I'm struggling to understand what is going on in the minds of our general officers in that Pentagon. Those 2 SEALs died off the coast of Somalia when, as you well know, a drone strike would have done as much. A missile strike would have done more. We have resources in which we do not have to put our service members at risk. And I see service members at tremendous risk in Syria, in Iraq, and I don't understand why Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense, his uniformed officers believe that they can order up these missions and that take the lives of our young men, primarily men, without other options. I don't get it, and I struggle hard to do so. Can you help me out?
Yeah, you raise an excellent point there, and I was very privileged to serve. My time in service ended just a couple of years ago. I was privileged to serve in the U.S. military, beginning with President Reagan and ending with President Trump, and in the White House, serving as an administration that had an overtly America First foreign policy. And that foreign policy was based on 4 enduring principles or pillars. And they were to protect the American people, our homeland, and our way of life, to promote American prosperity, to preserve peace through strength, in a nod to Ronald Reagan, and to advance American influence around the world. And President Trump and his administration did that better than President Biden and the current administration are doing. In fact, President Biden's administration, I'd say, is miserably failing at all of these. And President Biden's foreign policy team, the Obama JV team, quite literally, has taken on a policy of appeasement that has invited these attacks and required then the U.S. to take more dangerous action to try to get the genie back in the bottle, to try to restore an element of deterrence against our adversaries, especially Iran. You know,
I'm certainly no strategist, and I am not, gifted to be a general officer. But I do believe that when you've gone through a burn ward or an amputee ward, I've seen what is happening at the San Antonio hospitals for traumatic brain injury. You don't forget it. And to see Americans lose their lives, as these 2 SEALs did, to see these men and women who are being concussed with brain damage because we're not providing force security, to see this idiot of a commander-in-chief, and frankly, the morons in our Pentagon who are saluting smartly and pretending this is a mission that somehow is in the national interest is infuriating to me. It sickens me, and we've got to fix that. Do you have any idea how we can do that?
Well, I think
Peter
the
Brown.
best way we can do it is to elect a Republican president in 2024, along with a Republican majorities in the Senate and the House. And I always, in matters like this, I always like to go back to the U.S. Constitution, brilliantly written. It gives Congress clearly the power to authorize the laws regarding the armed forces. Also, the founding fathers were really brilliant in recognizing the maritime needs of the nation and the fact that we couldn't defend America only at the goal line, only at the beach, but that we had to have legal procedures to be able to deal with piracies, felonies, and acts short of war on the water. And so we've, over the past 240 or so years, we've done that. The Coast Guard, my branch of service, used laws that help us target drug trafficking far, far away on the high seas. My command of a Coast Guard cutter based out of California, the majority of the drug seizures I made were off the coast of Ecuador and Colombia. And that was to take the fight far away from home so that the homeland is not threatened. Unfortunately, the current administration is allowing over 100,000 Americans a year to be poisoned by the chemical weapon of fentanyl and other dangerous drugs. And so I think
they're being killed by the Chinese,
both in the White House and in both houses of Congress. Yeah. I think that we will move back toward a true America First foreign policy, and you'll see less involvement overseas and more security in the homeland and more respect for America among foreign nations. We obviously want our adversaries to fear us and our friends to respect us, and we've moved in a wrong direction on that and many other things under the current administration.
You know, Admiral, I have to say, we have a 2,000-mile-long border that's been turned over to the drug cartels. Neither party wants to talk about that honestly and forthrightly. Everything from sex trafficking to deadly drugs, human smuggling, illegal immigration coming across that border, the precursors that come from China and that are manufactured in Mexico. That's an alliance between Mexico and the communist China, and we do nothing. There is no consequence, and we have 2 SEALs dying off the coast of Somalia. There's something horribly wrong that we do not have more people talking about this very issue. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us and discuss it, because perhaps maybe we can wake some people up in that sewer of a swamp, Washington, D.C. Admiral, thanks for being with us. Peter Brown, thank you. Coming up next, the World Health Organization says there's something called Disease X, and it is looming on the horizon. But is it? And is this just sheer fear-mongering? What does it mean for Americans? Just exactly what does the World Health Organization do for America? What? Anything? We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your MyPillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
feeling good.
I knew you would.
MyPillow.com.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
The shadow of a mystery illness is lengthening over the globe. Tedros Adhanom is the head of the World Health Organization, now calling on nations to sign its pandemic treaty for Disease X. But what is Disease X? In fact, it isn't a real thing at all. It's a hypothetical placeholder, as the WHO refers to it, virus, a placeholder virus, just in case such a virus ever appeared. But they want a treaty signed by all of the nations of the world. A hypothetical placeholder virus, that's what Tedros told the World Economic Forum in Davos last week. Tedros warned that Disease X, if there ever is such a thing, could be 20 times deadlier than COVID-19. Why not 40 times or 60 times? A statement by the WHO says the treaty's goal is to, quote, foster an all-of-government and all-of-society approach, strengthening national, regional, and global capacities and resilience to future pandemics. In other words, Tedros wants us to surrender our sovereignty for fear of something that hasn't happened, may not happen, but which is convenient to the aims of the one-worlders at the WHO. The WHO, a UN agency, has no credibility at all with which to make such demands of Americans or any other nation. Remember, it botched an investigation into the origins of the coronavirus. Or more to the point, they allowed the Chinese to get away with a cover-up. And they knew it was a cover-up. It appeared to be a deliberate effort on the part of China to cover for the WHO, certainly. Foreign Policy magazine even accused the World Health Organization of being, quote, China's coronavirus accomplice, end quote. And by the way, that's exactly what they were, and that's what they are now. We know that COVID-19 came from the Wuhan lab leak. No thanks to the World Health Organization. When people are afraid, they surrender freedoms quickly in exchange for security. Our hysterical reaction to the pandemic is something that we should remember for our lifetimes. It resulted in the greatest upward transfer of wealth and power in a lifetime. Liberty was all but extinguished. Small businesses slaughtered on the altar of safety. Children were developmentally stunted, many of them for life. We buried our loved ones without funerals. The most important lesson from that episode is that panic precedes tyranny. And joining me now is Dr. Robert Malone. Dr. Malone was among the very few in the medical establishment, the medical community, that kept his wits and his integrity, and he was a dissident amongst those who insisted on vaccines. He's a brilliant physician, biochemist, one of the few experts, as I say, who retained his sanity and brings it to us this evening. Dr. Robert Malone, great to have you with us here on Lou Dobbs Tonight.
Good to see you again, Lou. And that was a fantastic lead-in. I think you covered key bases all the way through. There wasn't a thing you said I disagreed with.
Well, excellent. We're off to a good start then, Doctor. I appreciate that. Let's start with the WHO and give the American people, if you will, a sense of what the WHO actually is. It pretends to be the world's public health organization. Can you think of anything that they did right during the pandemic?
That's a great way to put it. What did they do right? They did an excellent job in managing propaganda and censorship. It was an amazing coordinated effort, which had deep roots in a lot of companies that have direct ties to the World Economic Forum, which the WHO also does. And perhaps the one nuance I might add in your lead-in is that Tedros really has two masters that put him in that position, which is the CCP and Mr. Gates. And Mr. Gates is the other big player here that wasn't mentioned in your lead-in that's capitalizing the World Health Organization. World Health Organization is notoriously corrupt. It capitalizes a lot of its activities through, quote, donations. And I've seen it directly. It basically shakes down pharmaceutical companies for money. There's deals struck in which full-time employees funded by the pharmaceutical industry are placed at the WHO in key strategic positions. This is a corrupt organization. And as you point out, it is trying to leverage the fear, and this is explicitly fear-driven. And there's been studies now, thousands of studies, that demonstrate that fear is the best motivator to get compliance with, quote, public health policies. But they are using the fear in order, as you correctly point out, to drive acceptance of this. We don't call it a treaty here in the United States because that would require Senate confirmation. But the rest of the world calls it a treaty, together with the international health regulations. And potentially that would include funding the World Health Organization through basically a tax on every nation state that's a signatory based on the size of their healthcare budgets. So you can figure out who the biggest sticky is going to get for that. It's our taxpayers here in the United States that are basically going to get concessions from the Biden administration to direct bloodletting to support Tedros and his agenda and global surveillance.
His agenda, in all seriousness, during the pandemic, I can't think of a single positive contribution or important action taken by the WHO that was of any benefit to any American citizen. I'm really very serious about it. They absolutely made pronouncements. They issued warnings. All of it, frankly, I think you and I would agree, just completely drivel and unactionable statements and warnings. And yet here we are with the Biden administration not only listening to the WHO, but Biden's regime is making noises like they want the U.S. Public health system to be subordinate to the WHO, which would become the executive agency over all of our public health system. Is that a correct interpretation?
There's dispute at the WHO about that interpretation, but functionally I concur with you. This would be a grant of sovereignty. They would have the ability, Tedros would have the unilateral ability to declare a public health emergency for any cause, which could include global warming. I think there's over 3,000 scientific publications now calling global warming or climate change a public health emergency. So Tedros would have the ability to unilaterally declare a public health emergency to monitor whether or not a nation state signatory is in compliance with the edicts from WHO. They would be able to tell you whether or not to take a given vaccine product or a medical product. They'd be able to determine what the mitigation would be. And they would also, by the way, have the right to monitor compliance and potential risks in individual nation states. So they could potentially declare a public health emergency of gun violence in the United States. This is what is on the table right now. And I agree with you in your assessment of their ineffectiveness. They were worse than ineffective. They were continuously spreading false narratives, or we could call it propaganda, which was then weaponized because if the likes of I were to say anything that contradicted that of Tedros and his minions, then I was labeled as a spreader of mis, dis, or malinformation. They were credited with being the global authority, and we were all supposed to just concede to whatever it is they said we should do and how we should interpret the data.
And to go to your point earlier, that the one person I left out, the one actor I left out of this, if you will, this organization that's around the United Nations, the World Health Organization, Big Pharma, the entire public health system. And that's one Bill Gates, who's had an extraordinary influence in all that has been going on since the onset of the pandemic, and actually before that, actually testing something similar to Disease X, that concept, before the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Give everyone, if you will, your sense of Bill Gates' role and to the degree to which he is an influence, positivity, and the degree to which he is a problem.
So even before the pandemic, there was a widespread movement to identify Mr. Gates as having distorted public health globally in a major fashion through the effect of his very large donations. And by the way, he's currently anticipating a much larger donation portfolio this year than he had in the last 2 years. Mr. Gates directly profited from the COVID crisis because he had made a series of strategic investments prior to. I believe a case can be made that he did so with insider knowledge as a consequence of having capitalized and sponsored Event 201 and other similar activities, these war games. So it put him in a position to know how the world and the United States government were going to respond to any kind of a public health crisis, and to make strategic decisions about investments based on that. And he's acknowledged that this was the case. So Mr. Gates' investments, quote unquote, in public health absolutely distort public health policy globally to align with whatever it is that his money bags wished to see happen as policy positions. And that coincidentally aligns often with his investment strategy.
Well, Doctor, we're out of time. I would like your view on one thing. Do you believe that we're going to see more or less propaganda emanating from our federal government and the public health agencies, including the World Health Organization, over the course of the remainder of this winter?
This winter, let's say up until the next election, I think it's a fair prediction that we will continue to see what I call fear porn, the weaponization of fear in order to drive compliance with a variety of public policy positions. And we're also going to continue to see obstructionism and obfuscation about what has transpired during the COVID crisis and essentially the crimes that have been committed within the federal government in withholding information, withholding informed consent, bypassing well-established norms for ensuring safety, misrepresenting data, hiding data like on the myocarditis. More and more is coming out about that.
Dr. Robert Malone, it is always great to have you with us. Thanks so much for being here, Doctor. All best.
Thank you, sir.
Up next, despite hundreds of arrests made after January 6th, we're being subjected to more propaganda, urging us to believe that the Justice Department just couldn't find who planted 2 pipe bombs, one of them found at the DNC headquarters. We're learning more about what happened, and it's shocking. Stay with us.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and I'm here to tell you about my new product from MyPillow, towels that actually work. Watch this absorbency test. Here's another towel that we randomly went out and bought. Here's one of my towels with the nice design. I don't know if you can see this, but you could line a swimming pool with this. I mean, this is crazy. Get rid of it. Towels that actually work. What a concept. I'm interrupting this commercial to let you know you can get our 6-piece My Towels, regular $69.98, now only $29.98. Or you can save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels, made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Also, we have bath sheets, bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, and so much more. And the best part, with your promo code, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Towels. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free. Looks like you've been sleeping well.
Megan, he's back. The My Pillow guy.
And you're looking good.
Still feeling good.
Well, just when you thought it couldn't get any better, we've got the best pillow ever, My Pillow 2.0. When I invented My Pillow, it had everything you'd ever want in a pillow. Well, now there's new technology that makes it even better. My Pillow 2.0 has my patented fill combined with a cooling fabric with temperature regulating thread. My Pillow 2.0 is truly the next generation of My Pillow.
Now's the time to go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use the promo code to save 50% on your My Pillow 2.0. Not only that, for a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free.
You're sleeping even better.
And cooler, too.
And you're looking good.
Feeling good.
I knew you would.
MyPillow.com.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our My Pillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50% and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all My Pillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Recent reports indicate that a bureau of the Treasury Department encouraged commercial banks to track transactions with using terms like MAGA, these search terms, and Trump, of course. It also instructed financial institutions to monitor purchases of religious texts, read Bible. Imagine that. Republican Senator Tim Scott sent a letter to the Biden administration over what looks like serious privacy violations and aimed at one group of people, conservative, religious, people of faith, Americans. Scott wrote this, quote, "These allegations are particularly concerning given past efforts to weaponize the financial system and payment system against politically disfavored lawful activity." Scott was referring to Barack Obama's Operation Choke Point. Obama tried to freeze politically disfavored businesses out of the banking system, like businesses that sell guns and cater to conservatives. His administration coordinated with financial regulators and harassed conservatives. Government officials notified banks that the Obama administration considered certain types of customers, quote unquote, high risk. That silly expression was enough to close accounts in order to avoid audits and investigations. And now it looks like Joe Biden is assuring a third term for Barack Obama to the very end of this term, putting conservatives in a chokehold. But Republicans will have to muster more than stern letters to break free of all of this. They're going to have to learn how to fight. One of the great mysteries of January 6th is the alleged pipe bomb that was found at the DNC headquarters that day, actually the evening before it. The DNC headquarters, an odd place for it to be. The other bomb was found at the Republican RNC headquarters. And we were all told to believe the Justice Department and its lackeys in the media that Kamala Harris nearly died on January 6th because she was reportedly just yards away from that pipe bomb at the DNC. But now, nearly 3 years later, after the DOJ arrested hundreds and were at the Capitol on January 6th, they still can't seem to find who planted this supposed pipe bomb. Why is that? How can the Justice Department, the FBI, manage to hunt down people who were just walking by the Capitol but can't find the people who planted a bomb? They hunted down grandmothers like Pam Hemphill, who was a cancer survivor, but they couldn't find the people who planted the bombs. Yet with facial recognition software, they cannot find the pipe bomber either. Well, thanks to a new video obtained by Congressman Thomas Massie and journalist Darren Beattie, we may get a pretty good idea of what actually happened. Beattie analyzed the footage and says this may be the most damning evidence yet that demolishes the Biden regime's narrative on January 6. Here is what Beattie tweeted. And if we can see that, on your screen you will see a series of videos showing the intersection near the Capitol where the pipe bomb was found. Beattie makes some very interesting discoveries. Chief among those are the fact that in his view, Washington, D.C. Metro Police and Secret Service show absolutely no concern for their own safety after being alerted that the pipe bomb is just feet away. You can see their vehicle in the bottom right corner of the video. Later on, they even allow a pedestrian to approach. And this was not all. This was allegedly after they were already notified that it was a bomb, and this is the reaction of officers tasked with protecting the soon-to-be inaugurated Vice President Kamala Harris. And within minutes, you even see the law enforcement see a group of school children allowed to approach where the pipe bomb is. Do you see an expression of concern, any effort to stop them? Would they really let school children approach a bomb that they were in fear for their lives and the life of the president, vice president of the United States? These agents later take a photo of the pipe bomb and then leave. It is bizarre to say the very least. We don't know exactly what this means, but certainly we can agree that this is not, should not be the natural behavior of Secret Service agents in close proximity to a pipe bomb that's about to explode, or could be about to explode. Well, joining us now is Monica Crowley. She's the former Assistant Secretary of the Treasury under President Trump and joins us now, and we are delighted to have you with us. Monica Crowley, good to have you here.
Hi, Lou. Great to be with you. Thank you so much.
What do you think of that video? I mean, the idea that we're supposed to believe the nonsense that has been spewed by the Marxist left in this country, the Marxist Dems, the January 6th committee that's destroyed evidence, and we can't get the videos that two speakers of the House, both Republican, have promised us. What do you think is going on here, Monica?
You know, I tweeted this footage from Darren Beattie the other day that you put at least part of it on the screen, Lou, for everybody to see. And I recommend that everybody either goes to Darren Beattie's Twitter feed or mine to check out all of the footage in its entirety, because it shows one piece of this January 6th puzzle that we've been trying to put together over the last couple of years that just demolishes the official narrative, like all of the official narratives have just been a straight out lie from the Democrats, from the left, from the propaganda press, from the deep state, from the military industrial complex, from law enforcement, including the DOJ, FBI, and the Secret Service, all of whom, Lou, were involved in this day's activities and security on January 6th. The vehicles that you see there are Washington, D.C. police and a Secret Service vehicle. Why? Because Kamala Harris is in the DNC building. And yet what the footage shows is that none of them express any kind of real concern over the fact that the vice president-elect is in the building and there's a potential pipe bomb outside the building. None of them act with dispatch. None of them act with any kind of grave speed or concern, despite, as you point out, as the video shows, groups of children walking by, other pedestrians. None of them move with any kind of real concern. And so that indicates one of two things. Either the individuals here are grossly incompetent at their job and completely unconcerned with the safety of the general public, as well as their protectee, Kamala Harris, or they know that the device is a dummy device. They know it's not going to go off, and therefore they know it's not a threat, which would then feed into our theory here, which is that all of January 6th was a Fedsurrection. It was all a giant setup to frame President Trump and his supporters who were there in Washington, but across the country, as domestic terrorists, and therefore give law enforcement the leverage they need to call all of us domestic terrorists and put us into all kinds of political, economic, social, big tech, social media vises to squeeze the America First movement in order to try to kill it. This video raises more questions than it answers, Lou, and I think we've just scratched the surface of the true story of January 6th.
You know, there's this video which is screaming truth at us, and that truth is that the Secret Service and the Metro Police were part of something that that really the public had no idea for 3 years. There had been rumors, but this is damning evidence of something that is really beyond the idea of what happened on January 6th. The suggestion that not only the FBI was engaged in entrapment on that day. We don't know the numbers. We do know that Congressman Clay Higgins says the number had to be somewhere in his judgment around 200 FBI agents on the ground that day in a crowd of protesters and demonstrators. And some of them looking for all the world, like they were agitating and directing and playing the role of provocateurs. What in the world do you think these two pipe bombs were there, and why is it that they're, with all the video that we've got of D.C. on that day, in front of the RNC, in front of the DNC, they can't find the person who planted those bombs? What do you make of it?
Yeah, you know, there were two cameras trained on those two benches right outside the DNC, Lou. You only got footage from camera 2 as part of the January 6th fraudulent Star Chamber committee. You only got footage from camera number 2. And it shows an individual, looks like a male, wearing a hoodie over his head, of course. You get sort of grainy footage from that one camera. But when the requests from Republicans came through about the footage from camera 1, so that we could more clearly identify the individual and do maybe facial recognition on that person, oh, suddenly we don't have that footage. It's lost. Just like we now learn that the January 6th fake committee actually deleted or lost over 100 encrypted files of evidence, part of which reportedly was turned over to Fani Willis in the Fulton County prosecution of President Trump. Now they're saying, oh, gosh golly, sorry, we can't find it. So when you have all of this evidence that's not being turned over to the defendant, Donald Trump, in discovery, that's a huge violation. You can't get camera footage of at least one of these pipe bombs. Gosh golly, we can't find it. Secret Service saying, well, we deleted thousands of emails. It feeds into the suspicion that we widely suspect that January 6th was a massive conspiracy and a frame-up. You add to it that President Trump at the time, as well as the DOD, the DHS, the Secret Service, the FBI, they all had intelligence that the massive amount of people, the crowds coming in for January 6th, could turn into some sort of riot. President Trump turned to Nancy Pelosi, Capitol Police, and said, I'm willing to give you 10,000 National Guard troops. They wouldn't take him up on that offer. You start to put all of the pieces of the puzzle together, Lou, and it looks pretty clear that this was all a giant setup to frame Donald Trump and the America First movement.
Monica, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it, and we're going to continue to push on this. It is deeply disturbing, if not outright disgusting, that two Republican speakers of the House have promised those videos would be released, and they have not been. Meanwhile, hundreds of American citizens are caught up. They're hostages in the D.C. gulag under the control of this awful, corrupt Biden regime. Monica, thanks so much for being with us. Come back soon, please. And join us tomorrow here at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central. Former New York City Mayor, former Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani joins us. And Mike Lindell's show is coming up next. The Lindell Report is next. And let me say that Mike has something very special this evening to bring you. You do not want to miss it. Please stay right here for the Mike Lindell Show. Thanks for being with us. Good night. And God bless.
To celebrate the new year, we're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products.